The band I was in at the time was doing okay. We got into it with a manager, and that manager basically was working on getting us to record the EP, to go into the studio, to be able to record and to shop us and to be able to try to get us a deal. And what happened was I single-handedly ruined that. And I remember him sitting at a table with me saying, look, you can't sign this contract, you can't do this or that or the other because you're gonna die. I was born in Atlanta, raised in Atlanta, Georgia. My parents got divorced when I was about 4. My biological mom was a junkie. She was out of the picture a lot of my life. She was in and out of my life. As long as I can remember, I always felt like I didn't fit in. I always felt like I was never good enough, and I always felt like I was trying to prove myself. I finally found a place where I fit in. I had a couple guys I would skateboard with in the neighborhood, and lo and behold, we're 13, 14, and pot was the first thing, like a lot of people, and we started doing that, and then we started drinking. Skateboarding and drinking, also not a good combination. At that point, though, it was really a lot of fun, and I finally felt that sense of belonging with both skateboarding with some guys and then finding that sense of just the alcohol and how it feels going in, and I finally found like that sense of I found it. Everything about it just made me feel like older. It made me feel like I belonged, and it made me feel like I could do anything. It was a liquid solution. And looking back, it's incredible that it was such a young age that I found all this stuff. There was a bar in the house, so every day before high school, I would sneak in some shots of vodka and then go to high school. And then, of course, in the parking lot at high school, like, yeah, we're getting high in the parking lot and doing whatever, and then going to class. And skipping class was a big thing, and of course, like, again, nothing original. We were skipping classes and doing drugs, and finally I discovered cocaine on top of pot, and then I found opium on top of pot, then I found heroin on top of pot. I found that I like a lot of people, escape in music too, and thinking, this is another way out for me. Not doing drugs though. I gotta keep doing drugs and drinking because that's what all my heroes did anyway, so I'm on the right path to become a musician as it is. I found that I loved music, and I found a way to sort of start getting into clubs and stuff at around 17. I realized that the only thing I could do is I wanted to be a frontman, I wanted to be a singer. So I started focusing on that, but the focus became partying, music, and it wasn't a good balance, and partying kind of took over. So from there, the band I was in at the time was doing okay. We got into it with a manager, and that manager basically was working on getting us to record the EP, to go into the studio, to be able to record and to shop us and to be able to try to get us a deal. And what happened was I single-handedly ruined that, and I remember him sitting at a table with me saying, look, you can't sign this contract, you can't do this or that or the other because you're gonna die. You're drinking too much and you're doing too many drugs, and I can't, in a good conscience, put you out there. The other guys were not really happy with me, and that just kind of ended and fell to the wayside. So keep in mind, I'm 17, 18 years old, so I failed out of high school. I quit going, and then I went and got my GED because I couldn't concentrate enough because of the drugs and alcohol to finish high school. I'm playing music, I'm getting in with the cool crowd, I'm doing everything I know how to do to continue to make myself feel better outside of myself constantly. I would get clean for about 2 or 3 months. Friends would take me to AA. It lasted 2 or 3 months, and then it wouldn't work, and I would go back out and drink. That was just a back and forth thing. And finally, I just got so sick of my skin crawling every day. I got to a point where I hated waking up. I got to a point where I would put anything in my body that would help me just get as far away from myself as I possibly could. So fast forward, I ended up finally, upteenth time, going to meetings. There was a group of guys who really kind of took me under their wing at this point, and they kind of just said, look, man, you know, you're gonna die, or you're gonna get clean, and you gotta do the work. I got clean finally at 21, 22, after in and out of the program, and I've been clean ever since. I wasn't emotionally sober. I didn't do a lot of the work. I'm certainly not a poster child for sobriety. What I am is someone who continued to stay off drugs and alcohol, which the old timers told me, as long as you don't drink, everything else can be worked out. And then something happened in my life where it took a completely different shift. I was actually about to relapse. I own a house not far from here, and that house, my buddy Rick had moved back from the West Coast. He was a drummer, and name drop, he was in a couple of big bands with some musician friends of ours and did okay, but he had a little junkie problem as well. When he moved back, he was off the junk, but he was somebody who could drink, and some people are like that. I'm not. Unfortunately, I come home one night and he's on my couch laying down, and he wouldn't wake up. He was cold, and I put him on the floor, and I could see the blood from his arm. So he had OD'd, 911, and I'm on the phone, and I actually give him CPR, and it didn't work. Ambulance, everybody got there and everything, and told me that no matter what, it wouldn't have mattered. So at that point, some mutual friends from that music world, that next day or a couple days later after that incident, they ended up making me go to this yoga studio. And I mean, made me. Basically picked me up, put me in the car, and made me go, and I was like, this is stupid. So I started doing this yoga, and I didn't like it. I hated it, thought it was dumb, it was gross, it was hot, it was sweaty. I remember being in the yoga class, and I remember at the end of this class, I found myself realizing that I haven't thought about my friend who died, and I also found myself out of my own head, not thinking at all, and feeling physically clean and good. And the thing about that guy that night, what I didn't know, which I know now, is he completely not only saved my life, he introduced me to a lifestyle that I have today that is, I couldn't have imagined. So because of that, my friends took me to yoga, and I realized that the only other thing I wanted to do in life was maybe teach yoga. So I was able to talk to the owners of the studio here, and I was able to go to yoga training. I started teaching, and then the owners of the studio, opportunity came for me and my friend, who's my business partner, Ahu, to actually buy the studio. And I knew that that was the next chapter in my life. The studio has been a way for me to give back, to keep it going for the community that's already there, but also more people in recovery community. And, you know, we have a lot of people in recovery that actually go to our studio. Of course, they're anonymous, but I know it, and it's just a blessing for me to be able to, when I'm teaching or taking a class, to be able to know that not only am I in this community with these people, but also there's people from my recovery in the same class or the room. And it's just a bonus to feeling a part of, which is what I've missed my whole life. I like the term I get to, and I get to make music, I get to own the studio, I get to teach a yoga class, I get to be an actor sometimes professionally, which blows me away, the things I get to do. I just gotta be mindful that I can't use drugs and I can't drink. I'm not a big book thumper or any of that stuff. I can tell you the main thing I do is what the old timers told me a long time ago, which is don't drink, go to meetings, and everything else can be worked out. And I don't believe a lot of that stuff goes away, my addictive stuff. I just changed my behavior, or my relationship rather, with those things, like I have with music and like I have with my own yoga practice over the years. I think now it's about finding as much content and happiness and solitude and gratitude as I can in each day. And every day's just trying my best.
Suffering are really just the same. My hand is bluffing me, and it's time to get out of the game. I follow the feeling way down to my bones. I follow the feeling way down to my bones. I woke up dizzy and I saw myself, shadows stalking my every step. I heard the whisper of a wiser man saying, one day, son, you'll understand.